Okay, episode 2 of the show, Erick and Brad Show. Erick and Brad Show at gmail.com. Erick and Brad Show at gmail.com. How's it going, man?
Good, man. We made it. We made it to episode 2.
It's episode 2.
Woo!
Dude, what a week.
Yeah.
Fucking week. I'm about to panic. I think it's time to start panicking.
Are you talking oil field stuff? Is that what you're getting at?
Oil prices, the fucking crazy ass coronavirus stuff. God, my audio is screwed up.
Yeah, well, I don't know exactly what you did this week. But I will say the only thing that's like tripped me up, everything's been kind of normal all week as far as coronavirus. But I woke up and I decided to go buy a gun this morning.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I had a few in mind. I actually hit Vince up, our guest from last week, because he's my kind of go-to gun expert. So I hit him up this morning and just started talking. Yeah, I didn't know exactly what I wanted. I was just like, I'm buying a gun. I got some money saved up. I'm buying a gun. So I went to Cabela's like when they woke up or when they opened this morning, and dude, it was weird. Like you go to the storefront. There's a lady at a desk. She's like, it's a 2-hour wait. Put your name on a piece of paper. We'll call you in 2 hours, and then you got to be here in 15 minutes, and then you're going to be in line. Like, so you're getting it. They're going to call you to come in just to come get in line. And I was like, right. Okay. So yeah, finally after 2 hours, I barely made it there, like in the window. I go into Cabela's, dude. And I'd never been to Cabela's. I mean, this is the first time I'd ever been to a Cabela's before, but it was obviously very big. I don't know if you've been in one, but they have massive shelves of ammo, and there was nothing. Like, nothing. No 9mm, no 45. There was only, so like it kind of steered me into like what gun I was gonna buy. Was like, because the only like pistol ammo they had, other than 22, but I don't want any 22. The only pistol ammo they had was 357. So I was like, man, but I really I was kind of going there to buy a 1911, a 45, but 45 9mm, empty, like gone. And then I get to the counter and start talking guns with the guy. A bunch of guns they're like cleared out of, like any Glocks were just gone, completely out of the question. Any self-defense shotguns gone. Like there was one like self-defense shotgun, and it was like a $1,600 shotgun, and I was like, yeah,
dude, that is insane. You're kind of lit on the whole panic buying of guns.
I know. Well, I was like right off the bat, like one of the first people to go in to get ammo, and 9mm sold out. And I kind of just figured that was going to be the ammo, because I went in and I got a bunch of AR ammo and everything was stocked. There was 7.6, there was everything there. This was like 2 weeks ago. And now it's just like, now everyone in the world, I don't know if it's just an Oregon thing, but people are buying ammo.
Dude, people are buying, it's just craziness. I think it was last Sunday, all these protests to reopen the country, right?
Yeah.
And it was kind of weird to watch. It's just like all these protesters saying, we need to reopen the country. And they're right, we need to reopen the country. But it's like, I was kind of conflicted where, like, what side I kind of fell on. And, the narrative's all like, oh, these non-essential workers want to reopen the country or something like that. And the essential workers have been working the whole time. And a bunch of states reopened a bunch of stuff yesterday on Friday, the 24th.
Oh, really?
Like Georgia opened gyms, barbershops, hair salons, tattoo parlors, bowling alleys.
Bars?
Oklahoma opened salons, spas, and pet groomers by appointments.
Not bars, though, in any of those?
No bars or restaurants.
Fuck.
But then people were pissed in Georgia because they're like, why are, gyms, barbershops, hair salons, tattoo parlors, and bowling alleys essential? Like, why do they need to be open? And it was just it's like you see that keep seeing that big chart where all the countries kind of have the curve, of death cases or whatever, and the United States goes way above all of them, and now it's plateaued or whatever. And it's like you have to time it right. You have to time the reopening at the exact right time, because what you don't want is for the curve to be like plateauing and then spike up again.
Yeah,
that's what you don't want. And it's like, I don't know, it's fucking craziness, all because of the
coronavirus
is just causing all these problems.
Yeah, dude. Again, like I said in last episode, I really don't pay attention to the news. I kind of just get tidbits off social media, like just seeing how people are arguing amongst each other. But yeah, I feel the same way. I don't know how I feel about it. Like, I don't. Yeah, I don't know.
And it's like they say there's going to be more American deaths from this than the Vietnam War, and it's just so hard to even imagine.
Dude, so I kind of want to plug someone else's show, because I really think I was so happy to stumble upon this, because I didn't want to go down a rabbit hole online, like looking up COVID-19 stuff, because I knew it was going to be like, partisan, or, it's going to be bullshit, it's something, fear tactics or something like that. But there's a show from a guy, a comedian named Dan Cummins. I don't know if we've talked about it before or something like that.
Okay.
Named Dan Cummins. He lives in Coeur d'Alene, actually. He's a popular comedian, but he does a show called Time Suck. And about 4 episodes ago, he did one on COVID-19 and just did about a 2-hour breakdown of just what viruses are, blah, 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 blah. And then has a professional, I can't think of the title. He has a doctor on, a pandemic epidemiologist, whatever that is.
Okay.
Has her on at the end. But one like fascinating statistic that what he did is he like gave a virus breakdown and then compared it to the Spanish flu. And did you know that the Spanish flu killed more people? It killed more people in the United States. Now I'm confused if it's the United States or the world, but it killed more people, I believe, in the United States than every single war that America's been in, that Americans have died in. So that like it was a fucking huge deal. Like it was just interesting to like hear all the comparisons of the Spanish flu. I can't believe. Go ahead.
I was listening to that like the Cuomo, the Governor Cuomo is giving like these daily updates or whatever from New York, because New York's been hit harder than everywhere. Man, I like that guy. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, he's a Democrat. I'm just saying, me and him don't see eye to eye on a lot of stuff, but just listening to him talk, it's almost very like it almost brings a lot of clarity. And it's someone who is in literally the worst spot of any governor of 50 states, and he is completely like calm and like militant kind of almost in his thinking. And it's very nice to listen to, even though we don't see eye to eye on a lot of issues like guns. He's very anti-gun. I'm not anti-gun, but like listen to how I did that, where me and him disagree on an issue, but I still like the guy. Okay, it's not how polarized the whole country is. And I don't know. He was saying like, it's been 56 days that we've been in this shit, and people have been coming to him saying like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I can't do this anymore. I can't live this way anymore. I'm at the end of my rope kind of thing. And he's like, okay, 56 days. And he puts in perspective. He's like, World War II was this long. He's like, the Great Depression was 4 years. Talk about like anxiety over the economy. The Great Depression was 4 years long. He's like, I get that this has been 56 days now. He's like, but it's just try to put it in perspective with what other generations have had to face. Oh, baby.
Dude.
And I don't know. It's crazy. And it's crazy dealing with the
coronavirus
and all the stuff that's being caused by the
coronavirus
killing our stupid economy. Are you okay?
Dude, I'm not okay. I'm having some serious technical issues over here. I'm so sorry.
It's all because of the
coronavirus.
It's the coronavirus.
And
I'm working on it. Give me 30 seconds.
I don't know. I like that guy. I just wanted to say that he's good to listen to. Go watch fucking Cuomo's speeches or whatever. But yeah, the thing that's happening is like, and this can tie into something that I'll bring up later, maybe. People always say that the whole planet Earth is faced with like a threat from off of Earth. I don't want to say alien, but like a threat from outside of Earth. People always say that's what will bring the whole world together. People will put aside like religion and little politics and all your little problems and stuff, and the whole world will come together if we're faced with like a threat to the entire planet. Well, this country was faced with a giant threat, apparently an invisible one, and I don't think it brought people together at all. I think it
No.
just even more polarizing almost, and it's all about politics. And there was some, I forget what show I was watching, but it was Ozark. I was watching Ozark on Netflix, and someone said like the rule of politics is never let a good crisis go to waste.
Yeah. I remember that line very vividly. Yep.
Yeah, from season 3. And and it's just all about people are still trying to profit, of course. People are obviously hoarding shit. Like Bill Burr said when this whole thing went down, you know, you care about equality and sharing and everybody having the same amount of everything and loving everybody. But then once just a little tiny whisper of a shitstorm is coming and you go buy 20 gallons of milk that are all just going to go bad because you don't care about, you know, your neighbor. And it almost seems like it just made it more polarized than it already is, which seems almost impossible. But then Cuomo was talking about like some farmer from Kansas sent him one of them N95 masks. And the farmer from Kansas said like, there's 4 people in my family. I had 5 masks. We kept 4. I wanted to send one to you that you can hand to like a nurse or a doctor or, you know, emergency worker or whatever. And it's like, I guess maybe some people are, you know, looking out for their fellow American, can I say? But it just seems like it's all complete. It's so polarized that it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Right off the bat, real quick side note here. I'm very sorry, but we're going to have the cutout deal on I'm going to have issues. I'm sorry. I don't know why my battery pack isn't connecting, but
Okay.
A few things I want to throw into that rant you had. That listening to that Time Suck one talking about the Spanish flu, I didn't know this, but there was actually lockdowns during the Spanish flu, like in America. Like, so we've actually kind of done this before. Like, it's just been so long, you know, I mean, it's been, 100 years. Obviously no one remembers this, you know what I mean? Right. Or if they do, they're, you know, they're in quarantine for sure. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then as far as like, I don't know, man. I do remember like after 9/11, man, there was like I mean, I was young, but there was definitely a feeling of like partisan shit like went away, you know, like all that shit just completely went away. I don't know if this is like, I believe that. I believe like, dude, when shit gets real, you know what I mean? Like people will like look out for each other. I don't know. I mean, but you could argue this whole situation, but I think this is just like, just fear getting out of control. You know what I mean? Like just fucking people are just letting fear, like not even, they don't even know what they're doing. Another thing that I learned listening to that podcast was, he broke down like how big the virus is and why the N95 masks are so important is because a virus is like smaller than, we couldn't even see a virus until like the 1960s because of microscope technology. A virus is so incredibly small. A virus can actually attack bacteria. Like it can get inside bacteria and be a virus inside of a fucking bacteria. So like what I'm getting at is what's irritating me is these people with these cloth masks. And they're like, whatever, people feel like they're doing a good job, but it's literally doing nothing. Like the virus is so small. The reason you need that N95 mask is because it's built to stop something. I believe the size difference was it's 1,000 times smaller than a piece of salt. Is how big a virus is. It's so fucking tiny. Any cloth mask you're putting on, that shit's going right through it. Like, I don't know. Just a little rant about and it just goes to show like fear, like, you know, just like most people I don't even think really understand, you know, haven't even like done any digging. It's just like a base fear. Just, and then they go buy up the fucking stores out of milk and fucking water and toilet paper.
Yeah.
And what I'm really pissed off is fucking ammo. Fuck that shit. Like,
Yeah, it's like guns were in high demand, toilet paper, I don't know, hand sanitizer. But then in those kind of apocalyptic movies or movies where it's like, so many people are stranded in a cabin in a snowstorm, there's like 5 people, there's always that one guy who like hoarded some food and didn't tell anybody, and then everyone's like, finds his stash, and it's like, you didn't fucking ration with everybody, you just hoarded it for yourself. And I don't know, I feel like I kind of have a part of that in me where it's like you kind of just want a little stockpile for yourself, I guess. But I feel like if it came down to, say, it's only me and my neighbors on my street, like if it's only you and your neighbors on your street, and electricity is down, phones are down, comms are down, everyone's gone, or what, you don't know who's gone, you don't know who's left, and it's just you and your neighbors on your street, I feel I'd be totally down to just fucking come together to everybody and like, we're in this together or we're not in it at all, because you just want to freeze to death in your house alone, or do you want to get together with a group and solve something? Oh, and I was thinking about this with like, I don't know, for some reason this came up this week where it was like, some people have a lot of faith in the government right now, and some people have like zero faith in the government right now. And it seems like, a lot of people who have a lot of faith in the current administration are the like patriot Americans, patriotic. We love this organization that's, currently running everything. America's going to do good. We're going to come out of this, whatever. And I'm thinking, is that more American, or could it be more American to be like, fuck the government? Because I think it's actually more American to be like, fuck the government, we don't like it, than it is to, be all, go America, we got this. I don't know. It's just a weird thought I had, because America was started by being like, fuck the government, right?
yeah. Yeah, but I mean, all these people that are like protesting and are like for the current administration, I mean, the kind of like the base set of like being a Republican or a libertarian or being on that side is, whatever about being patriotic, but it's all about less government. You know what I mean? Like, that's what their whole stance is like, you need government. Everyone like agrees on that. But
yeah,
I mean, I don't know what's more patriotic. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's just another argument for one side or the other. You know what I mean?
Right.
I do think like watching, I do like this. I mean, obviously, I'm pretty Republican. I'm sure, like, it's gonna come out. Like, you guys are gonna hear my viewpoints on shit. Like, but I do what irritates me is watching people that I agree with or they agree with me, and I'm seeing it a lot on social media, that they really are fucking idiots, and they're just saying the dumbest shit. And it's like, dude, like, you're making me look bad. And I'm sure a lot of Democrats are saying the same shit. Like, dude, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, stop making us look like fucking idiots. Like, and like, yeah, I mean, I don't want to name drop, but I know some people, it's like, dude, stop posting. Like, yeah. I get that you're on my team, but you're making me look like a fucking idiot by these, just like, just these fucking posts. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. Why can't you just be for some stuff and against some other stuff? It's just dumb. And then there's things like, there'll be a news article being like, a new Republican, a new Republican idea, or, like bill or whatever, and people will be against it just because of how that headline started. Or the Democrats want to do this, and people will be like, fuck that. And you'll be like, you don't even know what they're talking about. You just saw the word Democrat, and now you're against it.
Yeah.
And I really liked Yang because of his whole automation shit, but that doesn't mean that I would vote Democrat all the time or anything like that. And I don't know, I just pick some things from each side that I like.
And absolutely. And I mean, if you can separate it, I find myself a lot like, I'm really trying to be that way, because I hate watching people on the other end of the aisle being that way. And it's like, sometimes, but I don't know, a lot of times I feel like I just can't listen to these people, like fucking Nancy Pelosi or something. I'm just like, this bitch is crazy. Like, I haven't heard anything good come out of her mouth. Like, this is just like, I cannot associate. I don't know. Like, I don't really want to go down this path. Like, fucking. Like,
right. It's just crazy. I was just driving around all day for fucking 10 hours listening to news radio. So
you're all worked up. You're like, I'm ready to talk. Ready to talk about some Trump.
Yeah, it is just craziness. And a lot of it is all just about the
Coronavirus!
and stuff.
Coronavirus. Let's lighten this up a little bit. I did some like, whoa.
God damn it.
I'm sorry about the blackouts, guys. Next week I will have this figured out. I'm such an asshole. But so this week I like have thought of some topics that I've been tossing around in my head, like conversations I've had with other people, and I'm warning you right now that a lot of it is very stupid. Like it's not like intellectual by any means. It's just, but I've been getting very fired up about a few issues, like very fired up. So one of them, like I hope that you disagree with me, which I think you will because everyone disagrees with me on this. But and there's going to be some backstory to this. But okay, let me set the stage for you real quick.
You're pretty good at seeing both sides of everything, but
okay. But I want your true opinion, like, and just throw it at me. Fucking, who would win in a fight? Okay, a polar bear or a gorilla? And like, as far just to answer some questions right off the bat, like that situation doesn't matter. Let's just say you had a magic gun and you just like teleported a gorilla into an octagon and then teleported a polar bear right into an octagon, and then it's bam, game on, and winner takes all. Who wins?
It's a clear answer.
Okay, I'm getting ready to get worked up. Let's hear it.
Obviously the gorilla.
Oh my fucking god, you idiot, dude! Like, dude, why? Okay.
Have you seen King Kong before?
King Kong, get the fuck out of here. Okay, dude. Do you really feel this way? Are you just saying this to get me worked up? Because
no, obviously that's the right answer.
Oh my god.
Start Googling right now.
I've been saying, okay, no, hold on. You need to get in this. Stop the Google thing because I got a lot to say about this right now.
I gotta look up stats about gorillas.
No, stop looking up stats. I got a lot to throw at you right now. Fucking dude, the little backstory to this. I've been asking this question for over 15 years. Like a lot. I'm serious. I'm not making this up at all. I've been asking this question so much to so many different people.
I believe it.
This started my junior year in high school with a kid named Evan Bartlett. And we were walking, we had those outdoor classes, like towards the middle school, those like, trailer classes, what I mean, where you had to walk out. So we'd always have this like walk, like a quarter-mile walk out to those or eighth of a mile. And just me and Evan are walking one day and I ask him that question. And then we get into a serious argument. And then we go into class and the serious argument continues. And then we explain it to everyone in our class, and then everyone in that class gets involved in the argument. I will say, over years of doing this, I am in the group of about 10%. Like 10% of the people I ask say my answer, which blows my fucking mind. Like, dude, okay, go ahead and look up your stats. Like, dude, a polar bear is easily 2 times the size. And it's bigger than that. But, dude, a polar bear averages like 1,100 to 1,200 pounds. A gorilla, like a big gorilla, the biggest it'll get is like 600. And that is a massive gorilla. They're like at 450. Then just the size difference is a bear is twice the size on its feet. The fangs of a bear are like 2.5, 3 inches on, like the fangs, like like their canine teeth on a bear. Massive. Their claws are like 4 inches. Like, it's why you have weight classes in like UFC.
Wait, what's the weight difference again?
It's roughly about 1,200 pounds to like 500 pounds. So it's twice the size. And
a bear, 1,200 pounds?
A polar bear, yeah, it's like 1,200 pounds. I think a lot of people underestimate how big a polar bear is. Yeah, so a polar bear is the biggest bear, aside from the world record, which is a Kodiak bear. A Kodiak bear has the record, but on average, a polar bear is bigger than all other bears. Okay. They're very fucking big bears. And gorillas are not that, they're bigger than us. Yeah, gorilla would fuck us up in a heartbeat. But beating up 1,200 pounds, like, what is he going to do?
A full-grown polar bear weighs as much as between 700 and 1,500 pounds. But the average weight measures around 850 to 900.
Okay.
Kodiak bears are slightly heavier. Okay.
And now we're going for gorilla.
I'm just imagining King Kong. Did you see him fight that T-Rex?
This is ridiculous. I wanted a serious answer out of you, and you're bringing up King Kong?
A full-grown gorilla weighs a male 300 to 430, while a grown female weighs 150 to 250.
See, the size difference is astronomical.
Well, gorillas are fucking beasts, dude.
No, they're not in comparison. Yes, to us, they would beat the living shit out of us and kill us in a heartbeat. But, and then another, okay, there's a bunch of things. First off, gorillas are fucking, like, they're herbivores. Like, they don't even hunt. Like, so what are you talking about? A gorilla or a polar bear spent its whole life fucking seals up that are the same size, or walruses and shit. Like, they don't give a fuck, dude. Like, you ever seen the pictures just covered in blood? Like,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Polar bears are fucking scary. I'm not gonna lie.
But
if I saw a gorilla, I would fucking shit myself. You know?
Not a
I don't
polar
know.
bear? If I saw a polar bear, I would way rather be in 100 meters from a polar or a gorilla than 100 meters from a polar bear. Like, absolutely. 9 times. You ever heard stories of like people up in Alaska, or like people even with grizzly bears? Like, you can shoot a bear in the skull with like a 45 and you won't kill the bear. Like, their skulls will like, there's multiple stories of people hitting bears in the head with a bullet and it just ricochets off the bear and they keep coming at you. They say you're supposed to shoot a bear in the heart because you very well can just ricochet off their head because their skulls are so thick. Like, they're beast. They're beast. Yeah, I get a gorilla is a beast, but a polar bear is yeah.
I mean, that's a fight I guess I'd want to see. I don't know. I don't want to see anything die.
Oh my god.
Yeah, polar bears are fucking nasty.
Ah.
Just because we've been conditioned, I don't know, the Coca-Cola commercials.
Okay, so then this is kind of a two-parter. This is kind of a two-parter because that gets me real riled up. And you're not arguing as much as a lot of people will argue me on this thing. But
well, I'm kind of in the position where I'm willing to be convinced. But that was just my first thing was a fucking.
So, but aside from like all the different things you could talk about, like just I really hate when people underestimate weight. Like you had like Hoist Gracie, you know what I mean? Like fighting sumo wrestlers. And they're like, see, you can be a small guy and you can beat up a big guy. 99 times out of 100, if you that's why we have weight classes in fighting. Because once you get to a certain ratio, you can't do anything. Like if I'm 150 pounds on a good day. If I try to fight a 300-pound dude, like, just like there's a guy I work with who's like 6'4" and, probably 275. Dude, if he touched me, there's nothing. You know what I mean? He could have his hands tied behind his back and he's still going to beat me. Like, the second he connects, one connect, I'm out. Same thing with gorilla versus polar bear. You have that big of a size difference. If he just one thwap, gorilla's out, knocked out cold. Like,
damn. Yeah, you might be right. The fucking size difference is crazy.
So okay. There's more to this.
A gorilla would do better at like getting on him and holding him. And fucking, you got arms and legs doing all this kind of like a fucking spider monkey stuff. And I feel like the polar bear is a little more limited in its limbs. And, all it's really have is claws and teeth.
Okay.
And the gorilla is a little more flexible.
Let's say the only way is if the gorilla was smart enough. And I don't think a gorilla would be smart enough to like raccoon the bear. Like, like raccoons will do that. They'll get like on the backs of dogs and the dog can't do anything because you know what I mean? The raccoons are just locked on and just biting on the neck. I don't think a gorilla would be smart enough. They're not us. They're not like that smart. They're just going to stand there and face off with this bear. Like that is the only chance. And even then they'd have to lock on. And then what are they going to do? The only chance they'd have is lock on around the neck, stay on the back, and then just start biting the top of the neck. I give that a 2% possibility that would ever, it's never going to happen. That bear is just going to, boom, done. It's done instantly.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's like if there were odds available to bet on the fight, the polar bear would be favored, I guess.
So did you type in, were you just on Google? because if you type in who would win in a fight, it's the second thing that comes up on Google. At least for my buddies. My buddy looked it up on his phone the other day because we got to arguing about it, and he's like, dude, it's the second thing that comes up if you just type in who would win in a fight. So this now the second part to this whole thing is it showing up for you?
Who would win in a fight? Who would win in a fight meme? Who would win in a fight, a gorilla or a bear?
Okay, third one down.
Yeah.
I guess it's not a polar bear, but
right.
Yeah, so people have been doing this. Okay, now I want to get into, like, I was arguing with a kid last night about this. Like, I guess my own ego about this whole thing is, do you think it's possible that me and Evan started this whole thing 15 years ago? I mean, I know it's not a crazy thing to have thought about, but it's like, so the timeline on when we were walking to class, and then we told our history class, and everyone in that history class started in on it. Like, over the next 2 days, I kept hearing, like, people in the hallway that I didn't even, like, know arguing about what we were arguing about. Like, it was weird. It went like wildfire through the school. Like, 2,000 people instantly in 2 days were all talking about it, and then it all kind of disappeared. But then as time went on, and, like, when this had happened, the internet wasn't, like, really a thing. Like, I still had a flip phone, you know what I mean, in high school. And then as time went on, like I don't know, 5 years ago, I got into this argument again, and then I looked it up online. It was like, oh my God, this is like a whole thing. Like, there's a bunch of YouTube videos on it. There's like this whole thing. And then part of me is just like, I started a fad. I fucking started a fad. And, like, me and Evan think this way. And then everyone else is like, you're a fucking idiot. And I'm like, no, I started this, goddamn it.
Well, it's possible, but, you know, a lot of times, you know, like around the world, a lot of ideas kind of pop up, you know, in different parts. It's like, I don't know. It's this website with the fucking two of them in a UFC in an octagon or whatever. They're like, the gorilla has the reach factor, which can't be overlooked. I like him holding his own for a while if this fight goes to the mat. Strong ground game, I'm thinking. Agility 2, which is kind of what I was thinking. Whereas a bear is sluggish in relation. You know what else has deadly teeth and a powerful jaw, though? A polar bear. The gorilla is equally as fucked if his jugular meets the business end of the polar bear. And with its height advantage, being 3 times as heavy and being a natural-born killer, I don't think this is much of a contest. Winner, polar bear.
Yeah, I was about to get real mad because the beginning of that article sounded like it was leading heavy one way. And I was like, fuck this nerd. I don't care who wrote this article.
Yeah, I'll go polar bear.
Did I change your mind? Did I really? Because you are probably the second. I've told this to probably 250 people, and I'm saying about 10% say polar bear. And I honestly don't know if I have ever changed anyone's mind. And I get so infuriated. I know it's like a dumb thing, but I get so mad. I'm like, I just want to shake people. Like, how do you not understand this? Like, and they just like, they say, well, he has the one that kills me is they have thumbs. They have thumbs. Like, the fuck is a thumb gonna do? Like, that isn't gonna change anything. And that is it.
Yeah, I just thought they had like basically 2 arms and 2 feet, where a bear is almost more like a dog. It's like they almost have just 4 legs. I don't know. Yeah. And a gorilla almost has 4 arms. It's funky. But
a dog really doesn't use his claws, whereas a bear definitely uses his claws. Yeah, I mean, didn't you see that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio? Like, come on, that bear was.
Oh yeah.
Boom. You know what I mean? Like.
That's true. I didn't think about the Revenant.
The Revenant. That's it.
That's a good point. That's fucking tough, dude. But I mean, I'd still put money on the gorilla. I put $100 because I just want to. It just make the fight more exciting. And I feel like a gorilla beatdown of a polar bear would be more exciting than the polar bear just chewing the fucking gorilla apart.
It probably would be more exciting because I mean, in my mind, I just picture a bear. It's over in 2 seconds. Just bam, bam, boom, and then gorilla's done. You know what I mean? Like the power of the hit plus the claws coming across it. Like now he's just done. Like
I feel like the polar bear standing on its back legs, you know, and fucking overshadowing this gorilla. It wouldn't be hard. It wouldn't take a lot to sort of push him over, but you gotta get You got to get past fucking 2 claws in the mouth that are gonna grab onto you and just pull you down too.
Well,
It's a
and
nasty thing to try to approach a polar bear.
and if
You
it
get
wasn't like if they weren't locked into the octagon, I would I would bet heavy money that the gorilla would just run. Like it would just take off. Like not even
quit.
be like, yeah, the bear, because bears do that. They stand up when they're like,
Yeah.
and it's like, bear stands up and he's twice the size. Gorilla's going to be like, dude, fuck this, man. I'm out. I'm out of here. But then I don't think a gorilla could outrun a bear because bears, I believe, can run like 35 miles an hour. Like they're pretty fast animals. Are we looking up these stats too?
Yeah. Well, they say you can't outrun a bear, right? A human.
Yeah. I believe it's like 30, maybe 25, but I believe it's pretty fast. It's like incredible. You look at them, you think they'd be slow as shit, but
Polar.
You haven't been getting me
Says
as riled
polar bear
up.
speed 25.
25. Yeah, 25. Still, you can't, I don't think a gorilla, are you looking up gorilla speed? Let's see how fast the gorilla is. Does it come up as fast as the...
With a top speed clocked at 25.
Oh, so, okay. It's about the same. So he probably could, it'd be a chase.
Yeah, it'd be a chase.
And honestly, if they could run the same, I would give, if now the argument becomes, is he going to track him down? I'd probably give the gorilla that one. Cause like a bear would probably have a hard time like running and like instantly turning, where I bet a gorilla could like grab a tree, you know what I mean? And like, maneuver, probably just go climb a tree, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
that's craziness, dude.
Okay. So this, I don't know. I don't this one. I know these are just dumb topics, but this one too, it's kind of relative to that one. So I want to get this. This is another argument that I got.
I have a question too after this.
Okay. So
yeah,
this one was thrown at me. This has no back history. This was like 2 days ago. A kid asked me, he said, would you rather get a lump sum of $10 million or would you rather have the ability to snap your fingers and get $10?
Lump sum.
Yeah, lump sum, absolutely. Like I'm bummed that you agree with me because then we don't get to argue because we got heated on this argument with this kid. But it's like, I'm glad you agree with me and understand that way better to get the lump sum. Like you can instantly start investing. Whereas you know how long it would take you to like buy a house, just sitting there snapping your fingers for $10. You'd be doing it.
Being funky.
Yeah, you're cutting it like it's freezing on you. I don't know what's going on there, bud.
Fuck, that's what it's doing to you for me.
Oh no, it's starting to clear up. You're going back to normal. I don't know if I am.
Yeah, it just seems like a lot less work, and you still get a shitload of money. And say I wanted to buy a house, I would have to be like, all week long, and be like, what am I at now? You're at 150,000. God damn it. Okay.
And so like it was funny. Like I was in an Xbox party, and like everyone disagreed with me, and I changed a few minds in it, but it was like they really believe they're like you would just run out of money. And then so I was like, well, really, the argument comes in. Do you think you're smart enough to invest the money and come out better in the end? You know what I mean? Because if you just go blow $10 million, you're an idiot. You know what I mean? But if you get $10 million and you can't turn that into a lifetime of wealth, you're an idiot. You know what I mean? I've never done it, so I can't like preach on this. But I would assume you have 10 million. You start buying houses. You know what I mean? Start buying shit where you can start getting equity in it. Yeah. Whereas I would assume with $10 million, if you bought, let's say, $10 million houses and started renting them out or whatever, or bought an apartment complex or something like that, you're going to start gaining. I would assume you would gain money almost as fast as you could sit there and snap a finger. You know what I mean? Or like, and then now you have the money to work with.
Right. Yeah. Fuck that. Where'd you hear that question?
Absolute artard who's going to be listening to this, I'm sure. So you're a fucking idiot, Stickers. Like,
fucking, $10 per snap. Fuck that.
I couldn't, but it's the same thing with the like gorilla polar bear thing. It's like, to me, it's so outweighed in one way It's not even a good question. But yet people like disagree. Bugs the shit out of me.
Yeah.
So what did you have for that?
Okay, so I was going to introduce a new segment called Questions from Reddit.
Questions from Reddit. Okay.
From Reddit that I can ask one every week, and some may be better than others, but there's this Reddit page called r/ask Reddit, and people post questions on there, and sometimes the questions almost go viral or trend kind of higher than other ones. Some have 10 comments. This one had 12,500, and it was from yesterday. So maybe once a week we'll do an ask Reddit question and see what happens.
Okay. Throw it at me.
Okay. So this question was, what do you think is scarier, the idea that we are alone in the universe or the idea that we aren't?
What's scarier? Say it one more. Read it through again.
The idea that we are alone in the universe or the idea that we aren't? I think the idea that we aren't alone, I think the idea that we are alone is much scarier. Because even though in movies, for some reason, it seems like life outside of Earth is always depicted as wanting to kill us. Maybe that's just for, make an interesting movie. But I think the idea that we're alone is much scarier. I don't know.
I mean, dude, not necessarily with this question, but I mean, you could go deep on this one. And I mean, dude, I used to fucking, when I was young, dude, I remember it scared the shit out of me when I was real young. What scared the shit out of me? It's weird. And I can't really get in the same mindset anymore. But when I was really young, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I remember even talking to my parents about it, I was scared of infinity, something lasting forever, scared the shit out of me. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. And I was raised Mormon. And so believe the Bible, you know what I mean? And I believed it. I was raised that way. And
so it's probably more the idea of eternity.
The eternity scares the shit. It's what do you mean? And now I don't know. I guess I've just done enough, drank enough to where I just don't even think that deep or get that scared about anything. But it's I remember getting very scared about that, very scared about eternity. It was whoa, 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 we just last forever. That sounds horrific. That it scared the shit out of me. I remember crying about it. What? We last forever? It's weird to think back on. I would have rather have died at 5, 6, 7. And now I can't even really get to that mindset anymore. But I felt more comfortable in death and just having because for a human that infinity is impossible to grasp. It goes against everything you've ever learned ever. Because for us, it's everything has a beginning and end. Everything. Math. You know what I mean? For something to be infinitive, it's so hard to wrap your head around. No, 1 + 1 = 2. You know what I mean? There's a beginning, end, beginning, end, beginning, end to everything.
Yeah. Well, it's a story has a beginning and an end. You can't have a story if there's no end to the story.
Exactly. And so I don't. Obviously I don't believe in God, but I mean, if there is a God, I guess I don't care either way. I would find comfort either way because I figure if there is a God, we can't even understand what infinity would be like, so you might as well not even think about it. And if there isn't a God, then you die. So you don't have to think about it either way. You know what I mean? Fucking. Yeah, that's my answer. Sorry if I got deeper than that should have. I really had to think about that for a second though. It brought me back.
No, it's no, yeah. And people, and there's one radio host I listen to, and he always says the whole idea of heaven sounds extremely boring to me. It's just the most boring fucking concept of all time. But and then it's vampires, or just thinking of the idea of a vampire, how they're immortal and they don't die, and they're just miserable with life. And it seems like in a lot of stories, when someone's immortal and doesn't die, they just hate it. They just hate immortality, and they just want it to be over. But I don't know. The idea that we are alone for me is a lot more scary than that we aren't alone. Because if we're all alone, it's just like, that's it. This is your island. This is your island, and if you fuck it up, no help is coming. You're fucked. There's nothing
That
else out. It's just an
that
empty ocean with nothing.
that's scarier to you, really?
Yeah.
I feel like that gives you like you incentive because you know that there's fucking X amount of time that to make this. I find it more inspirational knowing that when you die and it's done, because it's like that means right now today you got to get that shit in. Any dream you have or anything like that, you got to do it now. Whereas like I feel like if you really believe that there's a God and like you just need to pray and then he's going to take care of you, I feel like those people, you know, this is overgeneralization, but I feel like on average those people are like less interesting people. They don't have the same drive to like, you know, to go out and do shit and fucking, because I feel like the people that don't believe in God, they're like, this is it. You know, today is all, like I could die tomorrow and that's it. Like,
no, yeah, for sure. I think this question is more regarding like, you know, other civilizations on other planets.
oh, not necessarily God. I took that to a God level, and it's not supposed to go to a God level.
Although it all kind of applies in the question. You know.
Oh, now I feel like it. Now I feel like an idiot. Like, if we're just talking about fucking people out there, like,
no,
I guess I don't care. I mean, would just be more interesting. It wouldn't nothing that wouldn't scare me or anything like that. Like, if we were alone, no other being was out there, or if there was other beings out there, it would just be cool to like talk to them, yeah, or like know they're there. But if they're not there, then
like Neil deGrasse Tyson says, the universe is infinite. So if it's actually infinite, then it's impossible that we're alone.
Yeah, and I mean all those, you know, brainiac people, fucking wheelchair guy, you know, he talks all about that, like, you know, that you could have the possibilities are endless. You could have a planet where gas is conscious, you know what I mean, where they're not even beings, you know what I mean? It's like all absolutely. And then as far as like, yeah, absolutely, I definitely believe that there's other shit. There has to be, you know what I mean? Just like,
well, if it's truly infinite, then yeah, there has to be. Or there's just some mushrooms growing somewhere fucking 1 trillion miles away from us. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
I guarantee there is something. I always get more like into the thought of like, like what if? No, we're going down a fucking rabbit hole in my head here. Fucking like, I always think about like you have like 5 senses, you know what I mean? Like you have your sight, your smell, your hearing, you know, taste, all that shit. Like there has to be other things out there that we can't like see, you know, or you know what I mean? Like if this whole planet, if everyone that ever lived didn't have eyeballs and no one ever saw anything, trying to explain sight to someone would be absolutely bananas. You know what I mean? They would not understand it. And it's like, that's what trips me out, is like, is there things out there, or like maybe other planet, you know, that's what's cool. And that you wouldn't even be able to like understand it. You know what I mean? Like really understand it without seeing it. You know, it's like they talk about like when people came over to America and the Indians like saw boats, you know what I mean? Like they were like, what the fuck is that thing? You know what I mean? Like seeing a big ass ship coming after them. But
it's like if you woke up and you were told like you're the last person on Earth. That's a lot more scary to me, I guess, than waking up and just being like, oh, there's another 7 billion people here.
Well, yeah, but
yeah.
Okay, am I thinking of this question wrong again? Like fucking, we're talking other planet shit.
Yeah. I was just trying to use an analogy of like.
I get the analogy, but at least like in that, like if you died and no one's here, like you literally don't get to talk to anybody for the rest of your life. Like if there's people on other planets, there or not, you still get to like live your life and talk to people. So it's like, well, fuck it. Who cares if they're there? They're not there.
That's true.
I do like the analogy though. Like that's a point. I don't think it's the same, but it's a cool way to look at it.
Yeah, I think you actually interpreted the question better. Maybe I got it wrong. I think maybe the question is about God. Who knows?
It is kind of a bland, there's only so many words in that question. It's kind of a bland question.
Coronavirus!
Do you think do you have a lot of bicyclists on the road in North Dakota
No.
in the summertime? Do people get out on their little fucking bicycles and ride on the roads?
No, not really. It's more people with their toys, like their fucking motorcycles and their like what are those squat fucking
Side by sides.
side by sides? Like everyone, a bunch of people have like their toys, but it's not so much like bicycles.
So okay, that kind of ties in. I'm glad you brought up like that stuff. Like, do people in North Dakota, do they have to register? Like, do you have to get a tag to have a motorcycle, like to drive it around? Not necessarily a license plate, but if you go like into state land, do you have to buy a tag to like an off-road tag?
I have no idea.
So in Oregon, you have to, and you don't have to do that in Idaho. Idaho, you can just go in state land. You know what I mean? Take your bike, drop it off, go, or you four-wheelers or whatever. But if you're like doing any off-roading, if you go to any of the places in Oregon that are like, there's Sand Lake or there's all these places that are like four-by-in places and motorcycle trails and stuff like that, you'll get like ticketed if the machine you're on doesn't have an off-road, like you're like buying tags essentially. It's like for a boat. It's like the same thing as like if you're caught in on a lake with a boat, you have to blah, 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 blah. Why?
Right.
My question is like, so like in Oregon, dude, there are so many fucking bicyclists. It is out of this world. Like not just like in Portland. There's a lot in Portland, but on the outskirts, I drive these like side roads, like out of town. So, dude, if you do a 10-mile trek out of town and back on these little back roads, you're going to pass 50 to 60 bicyclists. And dude, it's fucking so irritating. It's a Portland thing. It's an Oregon thing. Just these. Why do they not have to pay? Why do they not have to pay for road upkeep? I don't understand it. Like, we treat them like a car. Why do they not have to buy tags to be on the road? You know what I mean? Or something. Like, we have to treat them.
The like a bicycle with like a two wheels that you pedal.
Yes, like a bicycle.
They don't need to have a tag.
They don't. No, you just ride your bicycle on the road. What?
But in Idaho, they do?
No one does it. No one in the country does it. I don't think. You just buy a bicycle and you just get on the road and you start riding. But then we have to treat you like a car and you're using the roads. The whole argument behind a car, the registration tags and stuff like that is maintaining roads, putting money into it so they maintain roads. Well, they're out there using it and they're being assholes. Like, dude, the other day I drove by a guy and there was 10 feet. I'm not exaggerating at all. There was 10 feet from the white line to the edge of this bridge. And he is on the white line. Like, he had 10 feet to go over. And he's on the white line, dude.
Ridiculous.
It takes everything I have not to like, fuck this guy. But then, I was bitching about it and someone brought that up. They're like, yeah, they should have tags. I'm like, fuck yeah, they should have tags. Like, that's bullshit. Like, why aren't they paying to maintain the roads too? Especially in those numbers.
It kind of sucks that even your fucking vehicle needs to be registered.
Well, no, yes, absolutely. But then the argument here in Oregon that I really have for that is like, they're the only ones that are getting away with that. If you have a motorcycle and you want to go out in the middle of state land in the middle of nowhere, you have to pay for that shit. That's bullshit. Like, that's
shit.
Yeah, and even your car. If you go buy a Toyota 4Runner and you go down to Browns Camp or go to Sand Lake, these like big four-wheeling places, there's cops out there. They patrol it all the time. If you get caught, even if your car is registered, has plates, everything, if you get caught off-roading and you don't have an off-road tag, you'll get a ticket.
That's stupid. That's just Oregon wanting more tax money. But you know what would get you a shitload of tax money? Making the bicycles do it. Because you'd make about $30 million tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, they would throw a fit. They would. Fuck that, dude. If everyone else has to pay it, why are bicyclists not having to pay that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess they don't damage the road at all, but they
impede traffic.
Yeah, for sure. The whole off-road tag, I think, is kind of stupid, especially if your motorcycle's already registered.
Yeah,
because like you have to register it to be street legal, then register it to be fucking off-road accessible.
Oregon loves like red tape. They love like making things just well, you got to go to this building, and then you need to get a paper from here and go. It's dude, dude. Like, do you have to do DQ in North Dakota for your car?
What's that? No.
So, oh my God, it's so stupid. Like, if you do anything here, like if you need to get new tags, I have to do it. You have to go to a completely separate place, go pay. You pull into this bay, they hook a thing up to your exhaust pipe, they do an environmental test. And then you have to get passed from that. Then you have to go back to the DMV. And so it's just more shit to pay for.
Oh, my God. That is fucking stupid.
Oregon loves it. Oregon loves stuff like that.
Fuck you. Fuck registering vehicles in the first place, I think. But I get that, sure, it helps maintain the roads, but it's like, oh my God. I just bought a vehicle, right, in Idaho. And then when I get back to North Dakota, I get a bill from the North Dakota Department of Transportation or whatever for $1,400.
Wait.
Because when you buy a vehicle out of state, you have to pay North Dakota taxes on it when you go to register it in North Dakota, right?
Oh, yeah. That's like Idaho. Idaho's that way. You know what I mean? Like you have to pay taxes on a car. That's why if you buy a car, you do the bill of sale. Dude, every car I've ever bought in Idaho, I've done the bill of sale for like $10 so that I'm only paying taxes on like $10. Because, yeah, if you go buy a $30,000 car in Idaho, dude, that's in most states. That's just sales tax. Oregon is that's one cool thing about Oregon is they've done away with sales tax. So you don't pay sales tax at all in Oregon. So if you go buy a car here, there's zero tax. You don't pay for tax. You go buy groceries, no tax. But what?
You have to register it there. You have to be an Oregon resident. I think. I don't know.
I don't know. I know a lot of people come across the border to buy stuff. I don't know if the car becomes such a big number that they won't sell it to you. What I do know, a little side note, I couldn't believe this, but when I was going over into Washington, I would like go into gas stations. And I went to a gas station. Someone told me you could do this. And I was like, no, you can't. And I did it, and it worked over and over again. I went into a gas station, went to go buy beer, and the sin tax in Washington is out of control. Like, or like even a pack of cigarettes. Same thing with a pack of cigarettes. A pack of cigarettes in Oregon is like $6. A pack of cigarettes in Washington is like $10. It's crazy tax. But I would go over there and buy beer and cigarettes and tell them, I'm like, I'm an Oregon resident. Here's my Oregon ID. You waive the taxes. And they did it. Like they did. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? And they just like, oh, yeah, you don't have to pay taxes. And then it would drop it down to, $6.
Yeah. Taxes like on groceries?
In Oregon? No. There's zero sales tax.
Here when you're checking out at Walmart here, they say, are you a Montana resident? And then if you say yes, they waive the tax.
Montana doesn't pay sales tax either?
I believe so. It might not be like everything. It might just be some things or something like that. But they do the same thing for Montana residents. You go to register your car and it costs you $1,400. Fuck you.
Yeah. I mean, that money comes. It really, dude. The money comes from. I mean, it's cool, but the money comes from somewhere else. My taxes, I pay like state taxes, are out of control. Like so high in Oregon. Like, and the same with property taxes here. All they did was just take one and just move it over to another place. You know what I mean? It's stupid. There's no real benefit. The only real stupid thing is we shouldn't, if you really think about it, Oregon shouldn't be doing it because we get taken advantage of a lot by surrounding states because then they just come over and buy stuff, and so the you know what I mean? Like they're cheating on not paying. They don't have to pay our state tax, but then they come over, they buy groceries, don't have to pay any sales tax, and then just go back home. And then we end up getting fronted with the bill. So then we were, then we just have to jack our, our all the other taxes up higher, the ones we have to pay, and they don't have to pay. But
something fucking bullshit.
Yeah, and the story I started with at the beginning about buying a gun, it actually ended really horribly because I went in to get the gun, and And I ended up deciding on a 1911. I've been wanting a 1911 my whole life. I love that gun. But anyways, I went in, picked the gun, playing with guns, and he's like, okay, well, let's get it started. Because here you have to go through the FL, whatever it is. You have to talk to the state police. They have to sign, it's like a 10, 15-minute wait to get a gun. And so I give him my ID, and my ID, like, it's stupid. It's like the bottom of it's paper. They sent me like an update thing. It's how they do it here. And all my address has been like scratched off of it. You like can't see my address on my ID. And then they're like, well, we need something that shows the address. And so I was like, oh, I got my truck. Well, my fucking registration, my tags went bad this month. And then so they wouldn't sell me a gun because they're like, well, you got to have valid, proof of residence. And like, since it's expired, we can't sell you the gun. And then so on top of that, now I have to go do the DEQ thing. I have to go to the DMV, all that shit. Like, so bummed about it.
Dude, fuck you.
Yeah, I hate it. I'm so mad. I can't believe. I'm pretty sure, too, if you go in, I'm not 100% on this, but I think if you go into the DMV and your tags are still good, you can just buy new tags. But if you let them expire, then that's when you have to go to the DEQ. So I'm bummed. I'm super bummed about that. I think that's how it works. I know.
Yeah, fuck.
And I didn't get a gun. So, yay me.
Fucking pain in the dick. Fucking $1,400 bill to register your car. Have fun with that. That's more than your rent.
So you wanna move this thing along, get our guest on here?
Yeah, okay.
I feel like we didn't even go through that many topics, but we just got to talking.
What you were gonna ask? You prepped me with.
What's up?
The one question you were gonna ask that you let me know about, you didn't ask. Went to the polar bear shit.
Oh, I don't even, dude. That's why I had so many things on my list.
I wanted to hear your reasoning behind your answer.
We'll bring it. Let's bring it up with a guest, and we'll just have a fresh conversation with that one.
Okay.
Because I think I said that to her too. So
okay.
We'll all be privy on this. But yeah. So we're gonna take a break, get our guest in here, and we'll be right back. Bye.
Stefani, how's it going?
Going good. How are you guys?
Good. Welcome to the podcast, episode 2.
Thanks
Erick
for having me.
Yeah, thanks for stopping in. We're glad to have you. Have you guys known each other for? I didn't really ask Brad. Have you guys known each other for a long period of time?
It was just from work, from back in the day.
Oh, where'd you guys work together at?
At a restaurant in Idaho.
Did he work at our restaurant?
No.
Because
Cafe Trinity.
Did you work at Trinity?
Yeah, I worked on the sushi side.
No, I mean Brad.
And then,
yeah.
you worked at what was the other one? The bar.
Mitzi's.
There we go.
Yeah.
Wait, did you work at Cafe Trinity, Brad?
No.
Oh, okay. I was like, dude, what? I'm freaking the fuck out. I'm like, there's no way.
No, I worked at both at the same time. So, and it's been like 10 years. So I was like, oh wait, actually it was the other spot.
Right.
Boom.
Yeah.
Are you holding up under freaking quarantine shutdowns?
Ugh, I hate it.
Mm-hmm.
I hate it. I'm like an extremely outgoing, extroverted person. So not being able to go do anything and just being stuck at home. Well, not really like stuck here because I still get to live my life, it seems like, but being like told I can't do things has been like really hard. And it really brings out like the disobedience in you. You're like, oh yeah, I'll show you. I'll go for a walk.
Yeah. It's like I have no problem laying at home all around on my day off, but then if I'm told that I have to do it and it's mandatory, it's like, well, what? Maybe I want to go do something today. Huh?
This is the weekend that I'm doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, fucking we kind of had some questions based on like the pot thing, and right before the show she said she doesn't even work at a dispensary anymore. So fresh news, but I have avoided that ever since this whole thing has started. I have no idea what's happening at dispensaries at all, but I'm assuming it's a shit show. Is it a shit show there, or is it not a shit show?
Yeah, well, so what happened is everyone, just like the toilet paper, everyone ran out and panic bought all the
Oh,
cannabis and
really?
all the liquor. Yeah, so people were just going out in droves and just like spending all their money thinking that they were going to be restricted to staying in their homes for long periods of time. So, the number one thing you think to do if you're going to be stuck at home for a long time is basically just be fucked up all the time.
Right.
So everyone ran out and bought all the liquor and bought all the cannabis. I have a friend, he is the general manager of a chain of dispensaries here in town. And I actually hit him up a little bit first and asked, like, what would you say was the biggest thing? He goes, sales increased by 50% for an entire
Really?
month. Yeah, for an entire month during a time that it's supposed to be the slowest time of year for them. And so my buddy Jason, he said it was just insane. They were having a hard time keeping up with things. Um, they also changed a lot of the cannabis laws. So here in Oregon, the cannabis laws are pretty rigid. They're very, set in stone. And so one of the greatest things that we got from the quarantine was curbside. Like you can, as long as they're doing all the things they need to on their end to stay legal and make sure you're not selling to a minor and things, they can now walk out with your purchase to your car. So you don't have to have contact with other people. You can maintain that social distancing. And, but what that's really done for a lot of people is there's a lot of people that, they have a hard time standing for long periods of time. And it's not like dispensaries have these huge waiting rooms typically. And, so for the medical side of it, with like the older people or, some people that just really don't want to have to be in there waiting and they don't want to interact with people, that has just now opened up a whole new way for purchasing. The biggest thing, though, is the fact that you cannot take your child into a dispensary to make a purchase. So, but like the liquor stores, you can take your kids into the liquor store to buy your liquor. So now parents that don't have anyone to watch their children are able to drive up, have their order ready. They come out to the car and they don't have to worry like, well, who am I leaving with my kid with while I'm trying to buy my weed, So now they're able to get that curbside too. So I think that helped the industry a lot here.
See, I knew having someone on with a kid was gonna that I never even thought about that. Like, oh yeah, of course. Like growing up, like my mom would just take me in the liquor store with her. You know what I mean? And just like, yeah. Now looking at it, like every time I've been in a pot shop, I'm like, yeah, there's never been a fucking kid in there. Like,
No.
and then what? How did the curbside thing that obviously like got passed, right? Like, how did that happen so quick? Because you couldn't do that before, right?
No. So the beautiful part of being in a state of emergency is they can make instantaneous changes to a lot of these laws that we have, not just cannabis, but other things too. And so they were able to just go in and make adjustments to, the written laws that they have. And they did put out a specific set of guidelines for people to follow to be able to do the curbside. They actually made delivery a lot easier because delivery has been available in Oregon for a really long time, but just the way they go about the delivery, it's such a pain in the ass that no one can, you basically don't make enough money doing delivery to justify the amount of paperwork that goes into it. Your car has to have a full security system. You have to have a bolted in safe in your car for transport. You can't carry over so much product. You can't take so much money, and so it just wasn't worth it to a lot of people to even, go forward with the delivery process.
I didn't think I live in Oregon. Like I'm sure anyone at this point knows this already, but I didn't know you could deliver. Like, does anybody in Oregon actually deliver, or did everyone just give up on it?
Everyone just kind of gave up on it. They're far and few between. I think there's like one place in Eugene that might do it. I'm sure a couple places in Portland. Down in my area, we actually have a really big cannabis industry down here for being such a small area. And out of the 12 dispensaries in this area, none of them deliver.
What's the population? You're in Coos Bay, right? What's the population there?
So Coos Bay, North Bend are really close to each other. So if you were to tie them together, about 50,000 people.
Okay. Huh. Yeah, there's a bananas amount of pot. I mean, I'm sure you've been through Portland, but there's a crazy amount of pot shops there. I don't even know what the number is, but
it's a lot.
It feels like there's one at least every mile. Like they're fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just had never even thought about that. I thought it was illegal. I thought the transportation, I thought they had done away with. I thought it was like looked at as alcohol. You know what I mean? You can't just like, can you deliver alcohol?
So actually, you can, well, at least where I live, you can call up the taxi cab service here and tell them what you want from the store, and they will go and buy you beer and alcohol and deliver it to you for a fee.
Wow.
Boom. I'm learning
Yeah.
so much. Learning so much this episode.
Yeah.
Contact your local taxi and see what they can offer for you.
Well, it's probably a really amazing thing that as they were going through deeming some businesses essential and some non-essential, I think it's really good that they freaking deemed liquor stores and dispensaries essential, right?
Yes.
I think
Well,
that
it was
probably
touch and go for a minute with the dispensary end of it because, like I said, my friend who is a general manager for a chain called the Herbal Choices down here, he was really worried that they were going to say, like, no, like
right.
this isn't something that we see as necessary. But what it came down to was there was a really huge pull by the medical community that don't have prescriptions and, have given up a lot of those, and they just use cannabis for all their ailments. And so basically you're taking a form of a pharmacy away from a group of people. And so I think that was the biggest reason why they got to stay.
Right. And I think it was you that was saying it was kind of BS that liquor stores and stuff like that were essential, but then they closed like state parks and something like that.
Yeah,
And
I've been on a tangent over it.
yeah, I completely agree with that. It's like doesn't make any sense at all.
Well, for me personally, having a 6-year-old going into this quarantine, knowing that I was going to have to quit my job, and now I'm a teacher, now I
Right.
have to be a homeschool mom and all this stuff. The only thing I had that was keeping me like, it's going to be fine, was I was like, when we're done with school, we're going to head out to the beach. We're going to do all the hiking trails. We're going to explore. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And then the first week I was home with her for homeschool is when they shut down all of the trails. Like if you drive to our beach here, they make you turn around. Like it's
Now,
just like this sign that's like, go home, and they just turn you right back around.
isn't that kind of our fault, the mainlanders of Oregon? Because wasn't it like right when everything hit? Like I know in the more northern, like oceanside towns, like they just got hit on the weekends, like on the quarantine weekends. Just all the people from Portland were just going down to the beach, and like I have some friends in Lincoln City and Newport and stuff like that, and they're like, you guys need to go the fuck home. And so I'm wondering
Yeah.
if you guys got hit harder with like closing parks and stuff because they're just like, get all these fucking tourists out of our town. You know what I mean? Were you
Yeah.
getting a
So
go
yeah,
ahead?
we did. And so what ended up happening was because our county just got their first positive cases in the last 6 days. And so we have been with like 500 tests, 0 positive cases up until about a week ago. And now we have a prison here, the Shutter Creek, and the prison is having an outbreak of it. So every day
Oh
more and
no.
more people are coming up positive that are prisoners and guards. But so what happened is I think everyone was afraid that this is the last weekend we can have fun. We're going into spring break. They're going to start, they're going to make us stay in our homes. And so everyone ran out to have fun, knowing
Yeah.
that that they were going to cancel everything. So I don't really blame people. Like that weekend, everyone ran out to the beaches. I was in Eugene. So, I went the opposite direction.
Yeah, as far as like Portland, they haven't. I mean, I don't know about like there's a major state park there, right. I don't know if they shut that down, but like I went on a run today, and like there's people fucking everywhere, and I assumed people in Oregon would be like crazy and just like like yell at you if you're like walking around, stuff like that. But man, I went on a run today, and like there was people everywhere, and everyone was like super happy, and I'm like, this doesn't feel like a quarantine at all. So I don't know if like you guys are treating it differently. I'm not exactly sure about the parks or whatever, but I mean, the only thing I've seen is like here they're like they're taking all the basketball hoops down. Like and
Oh.
what about skate parks down there? Have they done anything to skate parks?
They locked it up. So they chained the fence and they put a lock on it. But when I drove by the other day, some kids had climbed over the fence and they
Yeah.
were skating. And then I was walking by about 2 weeks ago on my way into town, just walking from my house, and there was some kids skateboarding right next to the skate park. I like wanted to take a video because it was just so funny. These kids are just skateboarding right next to a perfectly good skate park. It's like people are still going to go out and do these things. They have all of the parks here are caution taped, like you can't be there. They're kicking people out of areas when they're going in. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I live across the street from a park, and there's like this orange just netting thrown over, everything there, and like the swings are like tied together. But the other day there's 3 kids over there just like climbing over everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it sucks. Like, we want to do this whole podcast thing, but it sucks. Like, this is like the major topic. I mean, you know what I mean? Like Corona. I didn't really want to talk, but it really is like exactly what's going on with everybody.
It's a great segue, into things.
Right.
I already apologized for the camera. I'm having some serious issues with battery power on my camera. So sorry, I keep blanking out on you.
Her tech is better than yours.
But I do kind of want to get away from the Corona thing. We spent a good 20 minutes at the beginning of this episode talking about Corona, and like it just seems to be the main topic. But I got like a real dumb question for you, but I get very heated up about this. I don't even know if I sent you this question or not, but who do you think would win in a fight? A polar bear or a gorilla?
You did, and I had time to think about this, and I'm team polar bear.
Oh,
Boom!
God.
Boom! You are seriously like you're like 10% of the population. I've asked probably 250 people this question over a 15-year period, and everyone says gorilla. It blows my goddamn mind. Like, why?
There's no way. A polar bear, I just imagine, like, okay, so after watching The Revenant, with Leonardo DiCaprio, like, that thing was fucking vicious. I don't think a gorilla would stand a chance.
That's funny you brought that up. That was like our last speaking point when we wrapped up our thing. I was like, what about the movie with Leonardo? That thing beat the shit out of him.
Man, he fucked him up.
Yeah,
so,
you're right. She's right.
So actually, we argued about that. We did spend a lot of time arguing about that. And I already convinced Brad. So now we don't even have like, an opposition to this argument. So I guess we had a second question. I think I sent this to you too. But okay. If you could speak to one musician, alive or dead, who would it be? And I guess why?
Ooh, you did send me this one.
So we haven't talked about this at all. So I want both of you guys, but go ahead.
So Stevie Nicks. I have this huge love of her. Her voice, I listen to Fleetwood Mac all the time. I listen to her solo stuff all the time. And I just think she's just such an icon for a generation. I mean, and one of my favorite things I ever learned about her was that her and Mick were actually broken up after the time of Fleetwood Mac. So I can't imagine any more of a badass woman than to be like, by the way, I wrote all these songs about you, and I really don't like you, but now you're going to play in my band while I sing them about you.
Do you know much about, Brad, do you know much about Stevie Nicks and Fleetwood Mac? Because there is like...
Other than just being a fan of some music, no, not a lot like that.
Their whole thing that was going on in that band was absolutely bananas. Like, dude, it was a whole, like, I mean... Yeah, like sex, because there was more like, it wasn't just them two, right? Didn't she sleep with someone else in the band?
Yeah, I think there was like a big love triangle going on. I don't know the exact like story behind it, but there was like this love triangle going on, but then they all just continued in their band. They still do, like, they've had like 2 farewell tours. So even today, they're still like, doing shit.
That is a phenomenal answer. That came out of left field. I didn't even I've been trying to think of everyone, and Stevie Nicks is such an excellent answer. That is like one of the most iconic bands ever. Like, man, I wish I would have known you were going to say that so I could like dig up some, because I'm like super hazy on all the details. But the guitar player for that band is considered like one of the greatest guitar players of all time. That guy is like super high, like top 50, like on everyone's list. And just like, oh my God, so much shit went down. Like, dude, the stories. Yeah, if you could sit down with Stevie, the stories that would come out of like because isn't the famous story that she was at Woodstock when she was 17? I think there's a famous story where she's at Woodstock when she's 17 and she's she's a side singer for Santana. And then Santana does their set at Woodstock, and then Jimi Hendrix comes up later. And what had happened is she's up on stage in like a mini skirt or a skirt, and the wind blows and her skirt blows up, and she's wearing pink panties. And then Jimi Hendrix, when he goes to play, he like says, hey, this song's dedicated to the girl with the pink panties. A completely unknown 17-year-old Stevie Nicks, like completely unfound. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think
No, that's pretty awesome. I actually hadn't heard that story, so I like that.
I may be wrong on that. That came from a radio host like 10 years ago. So
Okay.
I just keep repeating it and just like, yeah, it's absolutely true.
Just-
Absolutely
yeah.
true.
No, I just, I imagine during that time too, when they were at their peak and stuff, the things that they experienced and the things that they saw and, the love that they had from their fans and stuff. I bet it was just bar none. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
Okay, so where are you at, Brad?
Well, it's hard to decide. I mean, at first when you asked the question, I thought you were saying like pick someone alive, then pick someone dead, and you get like 2 answers or whatever. But I probably would just have to go with John Lennon. I mean, it was kind of between Lennon and Tupac because I feel like Tupac is probably one of the smartest people that was ever in the music industry. And I was kind of going from a perspective of like, let me sit down and talk with this person and get a whole new view on life. And just by hearing them talk, and not that I would necessarily like fall in line and agree with everything that I was hearing, but just having conversations with people who were such out of the box thinkers and just throw things at you from like left field that it would kind of change your perspective on life. Obviously there's a lot of people like, I don't know, if you're going to pick someone to like see in concert, I would probably just pick like Michael Jackson. But if I was like walking through the mall and I ran into like Eminem, it would be like the greatest day ever. But to like sit down and talk to someone, it's like almost from a philosophical standpoint, not just like a fan of music, is kind of the way I wanted to answer the question. So to have someone just explain a bunch of their crazy philosophies that like, defined a lot of millions of people, it would just give me a whole new perspective. Like I would wake up the next day a different person, not even necessarily adapting their views, but just kind of, them putting their views into my mind, I guess. I don't know. That's just what I pictured. So if I had to pick someone, it'd probably be John Lennon.
Boom. Boom.
I like it.
Fucking yeah. I had the same like thought process as far as like there's bands I love, like Modest Mouse is hands down my favorite band on the planet, but there's no way I would like, I want to meet that guy. But like, right. Yeah, if I had the opportunity to meet anybody, fuck that. He is at the bottom of the list. Like, no way. Right. Like, I know he wouldn't be that interesting to talk to. Right. I was set on Ozzy for a minute. Like, that was definitely the answer. And I still kind of stand by Ozzy. I think he is like, I mean, I don't know how much you guys know about Black Sabbath, but just like, do you guys know anything about Randy Rhoads? I think this has been blowing my mind since I learned all this. So Black Sabbath was a band. They broke up and like everyone kind of wondered what Ozzy would do. And they figured Ozzy was going to be nothing without the band, without Black Sabbath. And then Sharon like got involved at this point. And then like she's pushing Ozzy to like blah, blah, blah. Well, Ozzy finds a dude named Randy Rhoads. And like he was a kid. He was like 20 years old. And this kid was just a fucking guitar prodigy. And then Randy Rhoads wrote, he was the guy who wrote Crazy Train, which is like one of the most insane guitar solos ever. He was 22 years old when he did that. Like Ozzy just found this fucking kid and just like, this kid rocks. I'm going to make him a rock star. Then Randy Rhoads dies 2 years later in a plane crash. So like the blip of Ozzy with Randy Rhoads, and they created amazing music, was just like a few years, and he was a child when he did it. I don't know. So like that whole, I just fucking love Ozzy. Ozzy is God. Black Sabbath is God. I'm saying all this, but it's actually not my answer. I think Willie Nelson would be the best one.
Nice.
That's a good one.
Like, I think he would be a fun fucking, I don't know shit about Willie Nelson. I do not listen to country music, but I think he'd be fun as shit to hang out with. Like, I guarantee you, like, one, you're getting stoned all fucking night long. You know what I mean? And then his story, dude, fuck, he's like, I can't believe he's not dead. Is he not like older than everyone else in the music industry? Like, right? I think he's like 90.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's killing it still. He's still doing stuff and, just staying busy, I guess. That's what they always say though. A body in motion stays in motion.
Yeah,
so I think that's why Betty White is still killing it, She just keeps on going every day.
Either that or she's like a lizard person, because I don't get that. Like man, you're gonna get me off on a tangent. Golden Girls was so long ago, and she looked pretty fucking old in Golden Girls. It's like I don't understand how she is still alive.
Oh my God, I have that same thought. Like anytime I see the little clips or the little memes and stuff, and I just go, This was like 30 fucking years ago.
Yeah, that was
Maybe longer, actually.
It had to have been the late 80s, early 90s when the Golden Girls was going. That was fucking so long ago.
She's still here.
Still here.
Well, I think she's the last Golden Girl, isn't she? Yeah.
I don't know that. I know one of them is at least dead. I know I've heard that. I don't know if the other one's dead too. I think that. Okay. Wait, well, no, the tall one did that roast of Pamela Anderson, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
The tall lady, she was hilarious. Did you ever watch the roast of Pamela Anderson?
No, I didn't.
Oh man. Anyone go back and watch that one. That one was like one of the best, and one of the Golden Girls is in it, and she murders, like, just with one of the best stand-up skits ever. The tall lady in the Golden Girls, she's funnier than shit.
Oh man.
Boom. Well,
Good
anything else you want to throw out or Brad?
I mean, I wrote CBD down because I love CBD, and I don't know if there's a lot of CBD being sold in the dispensaries. I thought, a lot of times it was a fusion, but I feel like there's no freaking downsides to it, and that eventually everyone's going to have some CBD thing in their medicine cabinet. Obviously, it can go a little crazy with like CBD popcorn and stuff, but
yeah,
I'm a huge fan.
No, CBD is great. And actually, there are a lot of people that they start their cannabis journey with just CBD, because a lot of people are afraid of the THC and the psychedelics. So most of the time when you get your first time person coming into a dispensary to come shopping, a lot of the times they're just like, I just want CBD. I don't want any THC, which, with the medical science that we've done on it so far, even having just that little tiny blip of THC is going to just propel the CBD a lot further than having zero THC and just only CBD. Right. So I always personally recommend just a tiny bit of THC in there just to help it. I will say that when it comes,
it almost seems like there's like almost no downside to it. Like there's no negative side effects, at least none that I've heard of.
Yeah, it's great for anxiety control. High amounts of CBD will help kind of mellow you out and bring you back down, especially if you're feeling a little too amped up. I was doing CBD tinctures before going into work, or even just going to I used to go to a lot of city council meetings and things like that when the cannabis industry was first getting progressed here in Oregon. And so a lot of the times, just a CBD tincture would help mellow me out right before I would go in and, and do things in public places. But it's a great product. It's becoming a lot more mainstream. Even companies like doTERRA and Young Living, the essential oil companies, are now sourcing CBD products and selling them. Major companies are all looking for ways to source CBD. The hard part with CBD is if you're going to like 7-Eleven, let's say, and you see CBD products there, I always tell people avoid those as much as you can, because any CBD products coming from places like China, they are not tested, they are not regulated. They can just throw CBD on the bottle and ship it over here. You don't know how it's being grown or what it's being grown with. And it can just, and it's not gonna, you just don't know what you're getting. Here in Oregon, they have allowed people to go ahead and grow as much hemp as they want without being regulated, except for when you get to the testing part. If it tests above 0.03% THC, then it's now considered cannabis and not hemp. So you really have to watch your numbers while growing. And so what a lot of hemp farmers say is that their crop will test hot, which means it's too high in the THC level. So now they have a massive illegal cannabis grow just because of that small percentage of THC.
Oh shit! I never really thought about that. Huh?
Yeah.
So what do they do once it's hot? They just destroy everything?
They destroy it. They have to destroy it because they're at a huge, there's a lot of legalities with that. If you're not licensed by the OLCC, you can only grow 4 plants legally here in Oregon as just a single person per property. So it's not per person in your home. It is per residence.
Right.
What got you on the whole pot thing? Did you just enjoy it, or was it just random that you kind of got involved in that whole industry?
A little of both. I have smoked since I was 15 years old. It's been something that I've always really enjoyed. It's just been always my go-to stress reliever over alcohol and things like that. And then when I moved to Oregon, Oregon had just legalized cannabis recreationally, even though Oregon was actually the first state to have medical in, I think it was like 98, I want to say, something like that. They were the first state to have medical cannabis. And so when recreational started happening, my friend Jason that I brought up earlier, he was working for a different shop and I was working at Safeway. And I was like, oh man, they're not going to be able to help me like with raises or anything for a really long time, but I want to be able to propel myself forward as like an adult. And he goes, oh, well, we're going to hire an office person at this dispensary I'm working for that was a cooperative too. So it was a group of people that came together to grow like large amounts of cannabis together on one property. So you would just, when you would sign up for your medical card, you would list your grow site all on this one property. And so he goes, well, we really need an office person. You're really organized. And when I first started working there, my mindset was still totally like, oh, weed's great. I love getting high, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And then within like a month of working there, I met so many people that cannabis saved their life. Like it was beyond humbling. Like I took a whole new approach to cannabis after that. And and then almost 5 years later, I've been, I'm still a huge advocate for it. I'm a huge advocate for a lot of the medical people, even though the recreational market has really killed the medical part of it. But now it's just more available to people, because they've changed the laws several times. And, it's always an adjustment for a lot of people, especially because medical used to be able to come in and buy pounds a day from a dispensary, like pounds. But then they found out that these medical people that were buying shit tons of weed were selling it to the East Coast and basically fueling the black market for the East Coast. So they had to go in and go, okay, you can only have 4 ounces per day, only 4 ounces per day. Right.
It needs to be available because freaking keeping it illegal for as long as they did was just a complete crime and ridiculous because of how positive the effects can be.
Oh yeah. And even just small doses of THC, so like micro dosing, I make little capsules that are basically like they're like supplements. You just give your body just a little bit of THC and a little bit of CBD, maybe some CBNs and CBGs every single day, and your just body is going to be overall more healthy with it. So, and I wish more people would look at it as like a supplement to your system, because we do have a cannabinoid system in our bodies. Our bodies crave these things, and and for us to deny our bodies this for such a long time with the war on drugs and everything, I think that's part of the problem to where people aren't as healthy as they used to be, among other things, of course. But because before you would get like a cold medicine and it would be cannabis, and like other things. But
there's still like a fucking long ass way to, like, here in Oregon it feels like it's awesome, blah blah blah, but there's still such a long way to go with that. Like, because I work for a company that we have a business license in all the states, and so it doesn't even matter that our company's in Oregon, they still drug test us. And it's just a bullshit like insurance scam essentially, is that so if I get hurt at work, they can just drug test me and then we don't have to pay for it. Like, it's so irritating because 99% of my work is in Washington and Oregon, and it's completely legal in both states. And it's just like, it makes me so mad. It's just like, a lot of my friends just like, dude, there's still a long way to go on the prohibition of pot. You know what I mean? Like, the federal government needs to legalize it.
If you consume cannabis on a Saturday night, it's going to have zero effect on you Monday morning.
No, and that's what's irritating too.
It's completely
alcoholics will fucking show up.
Yeah.
Right. Completely legal to drink a bottle of Jack Daniels at midnight on Sunday and then show up for work on Monday. Like, you're going to be completely useless.
Yeah, and even if you because like my company, we used to fucking breathalyze. Like if they thought that you were drinking it all, they'd give you a breathalyzer. And totally, you could get drunk as shit the night before and still blow the next morning. But still, even if you're under the limit, I still would way rather have a pothead. Like, I would rather have a pothead driving an excavator next to me than I'd have a fucking drunk. You know what I mean? That's like just got shit faced the night before. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I get worked up. I get real worked up about it.
No, I've been there. And, even the company I currently work for, I had to take a drug test to get this job. And cannabis was a no-go. If I would have, of course I had to find a way to pass this drug test. But, it's like, it would have been a no-go. I wouldn't have been hired over cannabis, even though most of our stores are located in California, Nevada, Washington, and Oregon.
Right.
All legal. All legal states.
All
It's so
legal states.
bullshit.
Yeah, like God
Fucking-
forbid I ever get hurt at work. Like,
Yeah, it's such a bullshit money scam. Like, it has nothing to do with like what's morally right at all. Like, it's just literally insurance companies found a loophole that they don't have to pay money, and so they're not going to let go of that. You know what I mean? Until every state it's legal, or until the federal government fucking until something happens. It's ah, ah, ah. It just
well,
makes me so mad.
my hope is that the federal government will just go ahead and say, okay, the states that want to like do their own programs and everything, go ahead and let them make the decisions for themselves. Let them go ahead and do basically what we've already essentially been doing, because every state is different. You know, if I were to go to Washington and read their laws, they're going to be written so much differently than Oregon, and California's are very misconstrued. And, you know, all the states kind of are running their own programs. A lot of them use the same tracking system called metric though. So the hope is that eventually we will have interstate commerce of cannabis, because right now you cannot sell any Oregon product to Washington and vice versa. It all has to stay in the state that it is made in. So there are people that work for companies. They'll be doing their run down the 101 and need to come back up the 5. They have to drive almost 3 hours out of their way to make it back down to the 5, because they cannot cross into the California border and just take that quick little snippet back up into the 5 to come back up on their run. They have to completely go back the other way to go that way, because they cannot cross the California border.
That's so dumb. That's so dumb.
So, well, my hope is that if the federal government decides to go ahead and move forward with it, that they just let the states run their own programs, because the only thing is if the federal government comes in and they just try to take control of all of this, basically people that have spent the last 5 years building up what they have, that could all be taken away. They could go, nope. Go ahead. Everyone needs to shut down. The government is now here to completely run this program, because we want to be able to sell it like cigarettes at the stores and things like that. So actually, like, it sounds really weird to say, but being in Oregon, I will never leave Oregon because of the legalities that we have here. They're really great. I just don't think that the government would do it right if they just overall made it legal. So I have like a problem with the thought of federal legalization, because then you have big companies like Bayer coming in and saying, well, this is a medical thing. This is, everyone's preaching that this is for medical purposes. So why can't Bayer come in? Or, you know, all these other like pharmaceutical companies, you know, who's to say that they just won't come in and be like, well, we're the people that are in charge of the medical stuff, so we are now the ones that are going to be in charge of doing it. Everybody shut down. And, you know, so it's kind of it's kind of a touchy subject, you know, with that, because you don't know what you're going to get. So
well, it's probably not going to go over well. That's a really interesting perspective, that when the government shows up and says they're there to help, it's going to be a disaster.
Yeah.
So as of right now, like, I would love federal legalization, but at the same time, I'm like, you know what, it's going pretty well right now. There is a lot of talk before, you know, the world ended last month. There has been a lot of talks and pushing forward for Washington, Oregon, and California to have interstate commerce. They all use the same tracking system, so there's really no reason why. The biggest thing with interstate commerce of cannabis is the federal ban. And once you take drugs over state lines, that is now a federal, it's now the federal government gets involved in that. So that's been the biggest issue with having the interstate commerce of it, is just that one little, you know, snippet to it. So I'm hoping we do. Oregon actually has an overabundance of cannabis and cannabis products. We have way more available to people than most other states do. We actually have a really great program here compared to some of the other states. Like, we are the only state that you can walk in and smell your weed before you buy it. In Washington, it's all, it's like deli. It's like deli style. You walk in, you say, okay, I want this much of the Blue City diesel, and they weigh it up right in front of you, and you get to see the scale, and you know, and you pay exactly to the point gram that you're getting. And things like that. It's great. Well, right now you can't like smell stuff, of course, but typically you usually can, and you can see all the products, and a lot of the times the companies will bring non-infused samples. So like, there's this one company called Lunchbox Alchemy. They would bring their non-infused macaroons all the time. the best. If you ever find the Lunchbox Alchemy macaroons at any of your local dispensaries, buy them up. They're like the best macaroons I've ever had in my life.
Boom.
Hell
Will do.
Yeah.
Well,
Well-
thank you so much,
Yeah, thank you for coming on. We appreciate it.
dude. It was
Yeah, no
informative.
problem.
Good.
It was great talking to you. It's been a long time since I think
Long time.
definitely been some years.
Yeah, definitely. I know. I saw you a few years ago when Chris came up.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
like 3 years ago though. I mean, it's been a while.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe even like 4.
Yeah, it might have been. Time's been
Yeah.
time's been flying by since I've been in Oregon, but
I know.
rock and roll.
Because
Rock and roll.
it's
Well,
fun here.
yeah, it is fun here.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, and we'll have to do this again. We
Yeah,
appreciate it.
sounds great. Yeah, thank you guys. You guys have a good one. Thanks for
Awesome.
having me.
Thank you. Have a good one.
See you later.
Bye.
See Boom.
Boom. Rock
Dude,
and
that
roll,
was-
man.
I liked it.
She came prepared with the pot talk. Like,
Not
I
a lot.
didn't-
Of, yeah, she's a very informed individual.
yeah.
And
I kind of
yeah.
assumed. I wasn't. Yeah. I didn't know if we wanted to talk all that much pot talk. You seem to be the one to push into that, but
well, that's
Yeah,
kind of
she-
all I had. But it was good you had other stuff to talk about.
yeah. I mean, the dumb stuff. I'm a great supplier. Just dumb shit to talk about.
Yeah,
Fucking-
perfect. No,
but
I think we definitely all land on the same page, I'm sure, on the marijuana topic.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I didn't go off as hard as I would like to about how much bullshit I think it is that I can lose my job. Like, dude,
Yeah.
it infuriates me. Like when everyone around me can smoke, and like, yeah, it just pisses me off. So yeah.
It was good to hear about her too, from just another person's perspective on the whole quarantine life, and especially a mother, and just what she's dealing with. So I'm glad we heard about that too. Just hoping that all of our friends are fucking hanging in there and gonna make it through this thing alive.
Yeah, she seems like she's doing good, so that's awesome.
Hell yeah.
Rock and roll. Well, let's wrap this whole bitch up. There's a lot we didn't make it to, but I mean, we can always talk about it later.
No, we'll be back next week. Erick and Brad Show at gmail.com. Erick and Brad Show at gmail.com. Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. Hey, if you have a dumb question like Erick had a bunch of them, email it to us and we will fucking talk about it. And I can't believe she fucking came up with the polar bear answer. That's ridiculous. But it's because she had time to think about it. Because I didn't.
Yeah.
I was reacting. Before you even finished the question, I was on Gorilla. So I don't know. Who knows? And she even thought of the Revenant, just like you did.
that kind of blew me away. But anyways, guys, so and that's the email there is Erick ERICK. Erick and Brad. Wait, what is it?
ERICK. Yeah, Erick and Brad Show at gmail.
Okay, at gmail.com. Yeah, I couldn't remember if the and was in there. Please send us anything you guys got.
Definitely.
I had been talking to a band earlier this week about it. And I kind of what I want to get set up. I think me and Brad have kind of two different ideas here. But either way, the way this episode is going to work is I wasn't able to listen to that. I've heard their music before. It's been a minute, but I contacted a band I knew, a Seattle band, and what I want to kind of do is kind of bring music in, like either as like an ending part or we'll discuss a band, blah blah blah. So as soon as we end this episode, the music might be playing like right now. We're going to use it as an outro as one of their songs when I do it in post edit deal. But the band's name is Dust Mice. Plural. Dust Mice. They're out of Seattle.
Just like
No, it's like I think they label themselves as like psychedelic rock.
Oh, okay, cool, nice.
Yeah. It's not metal. It's more more like jammy. It's not.
Perfect.
But I wasn't able to listen to what they sent over to us. But it'll be at the end of this episode. We'll probably play one on our next episode. I believe they're going to be our guest. It should be 3 guys. They all live together, so they're doing the quarantine as a band. So I think that'll be our guest next week. And that's about all we got. Thank you guys for joining us. I had fun. I kind of forgot we were doing a podcast about 90% of the time.
Perfect. Well, I'll see you next week, man. We'll be back.
Rock and roll. Well, thanks, guys. Have a good one. Bye.